Welcome back, students. Let's go ahead and explore this idea of science and limits. So the question before us is, does science have limits? And what you see here on the center screen is kind of where we left off in a previous video about the information that we learn by engaging in the scientific method. We're able to gain additional knowledge and additional experience that essentially allows us to understand the world better. Now remember, previously we had shared this drawing before. I'm just going to draw it here briefly. And so we went through the process, and I'm not going to do it all over again in great detail, except to suffice here. So you have the growth, right? And so this little growth here was what was attributed to one of these dots. And that dot essentially is what each of these are. Okay, so we go through this process, and over a period of time, we can see that we're going to get a little bit more growths, these little dots of knowledge, or what we call the bits of knowledge. And so the more we learn, the more we experience, or rather the other way around, the more we experience, the more we learn. Now the learning opportunities can be positive or can be negative, but nonetheless, we're still learning something from the experience. So overall though, we put all this knowledge inside the knowledge box. And so whenever we encounter a new problem in our world, we minimize this here. What typically happens is, let's say that we have a new problem, okay? And so this new problem comes along, and let's say that this problem here essentially presents itself. We come in and we're like, I wonder if we have any kind of experience with this particular problem. And so to play a little bit on the color coding here, let's say that this problem is color coded yellow. So we go and we look at our information here in terms of all the knowledge that we have, and we look for a bit of knowledge that might give us a little bit of information about this new problem that we're encountering. Well, here's the problem, I guess, to sort of speak, that if we do not have any prior knowledge or any previous experience that will give us insight on how to solve this problem, because there's no way to relate to it, we run into a little bit of a problem where there is no way that we can actually connect to it, at least on the face of it all. And so this is the problem with science, that as long as we have a piece of knowledge in our knowledge box that can speak to a certain problem, then we can then use that knowledge then to address the problem before us. But if there is no prior knowledge, no prior experience that we can fall back on and reflect on and utilize to help us solve a problem, then that's where the limit of science really comes in. Because anything beyond that, if it's not something that we already know, then it really falls outside the boundaries of this thing called science. Or rather, what I want to say here is it really falls outside the body of knowledge of science. And so if it falls outside the boundaries of this box where we have all the knowledge that we've gained in science, then this new experience then essentially becomes a new phenomenon, a new problem that science really cannot help explain it. And so we would then need to engage the scientific method one more time here and go through it all the way across, beginning at 1, 2, 3, 4, and then hopefully we can have a growth period here that then we can then add this new piece of information. And so perhaps here, this bit of knowledge essentially is going to be the knowledge that we can then add. This here would be the information we gain from this new experience of going through the scientific method. And then we can take this bit of knowledge and then we can add it into the pile here, in which case then we can just now see that we have one new bit of information. And this is what happens whenever we have new problems. As long as we have information bits here or knowledge bits that can help us address that problem, then we're in good shape. But whenever we encounter new problems that are not already in our existing knowledge, then that presents a problem. It presents a limit in terms of what we know and we can use. But on the other side of that, it provides us an opportunity for us to learn something new and then add that new knowledge gained into the knowledge box. So, short answer at the very end, does science have limits? It does, and it's based on the knowledge. And so in the next couple of videos, I'll try to explain this a little bit further to you. But for right now, if you haven't already subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. Keep watching, keep learning, and we'll see you in the next video.